Question number 5 on Schoology is the quotient of powers. And again, quotient just means divide, which means we're dividing and we have exponents involved. So the first step is that we're going to divide our coefficients. That's our numbers out in front, just like normal. We're going to simplify. So I'm going to put that in a box. And in my class, when we have things in a box like that, that means that we can go simplify it on Desmos. And you actually can type in on Desmos -6 divided by 8. And that is going to simplify for you. That simplifies down to -3 over 4. Originally, it will give you the decimal point, -0.75, and we would want to convert that using the button that looks like the circle with the box in it, and that'll convert it back to a fraction for you, a simplified fraction, and that is going to be in the blue margin that's out to the left. So we want to keep it not decimals. We want to make it a fraction. We want to keep it in that fraction form. So the very first part of our answer is going to be -3 on top, and then we have our 4 on the bottom. And that's what it's talking about when it says like coefficient. So that's like the beginning number. All right, now we're going to focus on our A's because we're always going to go alphabetical, and this is where we have our letters now that we have to worry about. So as I zoom in, we need to determine what does this exponent of 3 go with. And so we need to remember that it goes with the one thing that's right in front of it. And the one thing right in front of this is the B. And then also down here, this 2 also goes with the B. So then A, what power does A have? It's an invisible power of 1. Because the A is there just one time. That's the cloning power. There's only one of them. So when we expand this, we're just going to write it once. Are there any more A's? No. So when we count it up, we just have an A. So in the bottom, we're going to find our A, and we're going to just pop it in there or drag and drop. Now the B's we already talked about, they do have a power. We are going to clone them, the power of 3. So we're going to have 3 B's. We're going to clone it 1, 2, 3 times. And then in the denominator on the bottom, we have B cloned twice. And I line those up so that we can see them a little bit more clearly. Up in the warm-up, the question was 5 over 5. And we've seen this multiple times before when we've solved. When you have the same thing on top and the same thing on bottom, they just cross off. Well, what's really happening is 5 goes into 5, 1. That cross off is actually a 1. And so that's the same thing that we're going to do whenever we have letters. You can also do it with shapes or anything. Whatever you have on the top, if it has a match, an exact match on the bottom, you can cross them off. So I'm going to change colors so we can see the crossing off one at a time. These B's, B goes into B once, so we can cross them off, and we can also cross these off. So then we count what's left, and what we have is just this one B. So we would have just one B, B to the power of 1, and we don't have to say to the power of 1. We would just have B. And so that's going to get popped up into our answer. The rule says that we are ending up subtracting our exponents on like bases. So the A didn't have something else that matched it, and that's the base, okay? That's also the variable. But the B is what we're talking about. There was 3 on top and 2 on bottom. And so if we do 3 minus 2, that's where we get the 1. And so there was 1 there, but again, we didn't have to put that, so we just leave it off. So when you have B's on top and bottom, they cross off, and crossing them off is going to be like subtracting. On your supplemental aid, we have our powers, our superhero, and we can show that as long as we have 1 on top and 1 on bottom, they cross off. And again, this is available on your supplemental aid.